Go. African cultural response to slavery and oppression in the Americas and the Caribbean began on the shores of West Africa when captured Africans tried to take African soil into their mouths and sometimes in their hands onto the slave ship. Slavery was a war against African culture, especially against the structure of the African family. Those are the words of the Honorable John Henrik Clarke and Asa Hilliard's powerful piece, African Power. Our medicine and our healing is in our culture, African culture. And to it we must return if we want African black life. Indeed, we pour libation to cleanse us and connect us to our culture, to preserve and serve Ma'at. For we Africans are one lest we forget. Libation is a custom where liquid, usually water, is poured as it represents the essence of life onto a living plant at a shrine on the ground. Indeed, in many ways, as the names of historical and familial ancestors and forces are called, the purpose is to connect the continual chain of our existence, the unborn of the spirit world, the youth, the adults, the elders, the ancestors, the Loa, the forces, the cosmic forces, such that the entire community, the village, the circle of life is present. And therefore their wisdom, their strength, and their power is summoned as we move north, south, eastward to populate the globe, and even westward as a result of the great Ma'afa. Libation traveled with us. African culture traveled. Our spiritual and belief systems traveled. Our drum and dance and songs and steps, they traveled with us. And yes, our Orisha, our Abason, our Lucy, Netzer, Loa, the ancestral and spiritual wisdom traveled and are here with us and for us now when we choose to remember again that our medicine and our healing is in our culture. And that is why libation is essential, for we lose when we cease to remember, when we throw away our ancestors with the bath water. Our babies, indeed, our future suffers. There is and can be no Sankofa without honoring our past as the basis for the future we seek. So honor our ancestors, honor our history, honor our way, lest we die. For in the words of Birigo Jope, just as our ears were deaf to their cries, to their wild appeals, they have left on the earth their cries for us blind, deaf, and unworthy children who see nothing of what they have made in the air, on the water, where they have traced their signs. And since we did not understand our dead, since we have never listened to their cries, if and when we weep gently, gently, if and when we cry roughly of our torments, what heart will listen to our clamoring, what ear to our sobbing hearts? So we pour and we speak libation as an act of remembrance. respect, recognition, reverence, renewal, return, reawakening, and restoration. Indeed, it's acts of retribution and revolution, for we live in a society and we live at a time when forgetting is the wish and denying the relevance, the power, the mattering of African and black humanity is the norm. Sadly, even for far too many of us. So we pour and we speak libation as our own personal and collective quest for our own self-reparation, because repairing the African spirit starts with the pouring, the speaking, the living of libation. That is its purpose. We are instructed by our ancient ancestors in the book of Ani to pour libation for our fathers and mothers who rest in the valley of the dead. We must not forget to do this even when we have been torn away from home, for as we do for our parents or not, our children will do also for us or not. We pour and we speak libation for the indomitable fighting spirit we seek to resurrect, that we may continue our pursuit of black life, that is liberation, independence, freedom, empowerment. We dare call it justice for our ancestors and our children's future. And we pour and we speak libation in honor of those ancestors who left us a legacy worthy of honor. We pour and we speak for those who have contributed to our lives in ways we know and appreciate, and in the countless ways we have yet to understand, and in many ways we may never even know. We pour and we speak for the mother father of civilization, the nation builders, the concept creators, the freedom fighters, the warriors, the educators, those who escaped and those who stayed, those who fought and those who hid, those that roared and those that cried, those who held it down so that we may be lifted up, those who held us together so we could stand on our own. We pour and we speak for those whose struggles lay the foundation for the world's greatest diaspora, which will be great once again when we remember to love ourselves. We pour and we speak for those who have poured into us, filling us with the instincts, the insight, the intuition, the intelligence, the instruction that guide us forward, and that we will pass on to the beautiful ones not yet born. And we pour, we speak, and we live for the beautiful children not yet born, hoping that our living, our contribution to their future will one day be worthy of remembrance, respect, recognition, and reverence. And since we have your ear and we have your presence, we ask for African power, power to heal, overcome, become whole and exemplary and sovereign. Once again, Ashe, Aluta Continua, Uhuru Sasa, Black Power, Ubuntu, I am we. And we are one. So let the healing begin. Let our healing continue. Good afternoon and welcome to Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari. I am Eric Keith Grimes, Brother Shamari, and we come at you every Friday, 1 to 4 p.m. and Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. right here, WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM, streaming live at onWURD. Let me do that right. Streaming live on WordRadio.com and also Facebook Live at Word Radio, WURD Radio. Now you can also follow us on our social media platforms at onWURD. We do groundings, we do elevation, we do blackness right here, Black Talk Media. Today's conversation, I think I'm gonna stay in that black space I was in on Sunday. Had a conversation on Sunday. For those of you who did not catch us, black is what? Fill in the blank. It's interesting dialogue, and that also carried over to some Facebook and social media conversation. And I want to hone in on this idea that we've been embedded with, that I think we had to struggle. It's one of the shackles that I think we have to unloose before we can begin to really move forward. And that is this idea that some of us see black as a negation. So much so that we don't want to be black. Same thing we had to fight through with being African, right? We live in a white supremacy society that has negated those terms. That's what the word denigration means, right? Denigration means to blacken and therefore lessen in white supremacy culture, where words have meaning and therefore words have power. But if this is our referent power and it's a white supremacist social construct, of course, the brainwashing will require that white is elevated while black is denigrated. And if this is your referent power, then you as a person who is black, the alpha and omega people, the pinnacle people, by the way, because again, you will be birthed from black and darkness. You will leave here into blackness and darkness. That's how it is. I don't care how you dress that up, right? You come from black womb and you will go back into black earth. That's how this game is played. What you want to strive for across your lifespan, your lived journey, is pinnacle. And in every culture, the pinnacle is represented, yep, you got it, by black. So this idea that we have been turned away from ourselves, I want to spend some time and wrestle with that. Because if you don't want to be black and you don't want to be African, you don't want to return to your essence, then you can't unify. You can't build. You can't move around anything. And that's why our people are stuck on this hamster wheel, in this topsy-turvy world, because we don't know actually where we want to return to, what we want to redeem, reclaim, or resurrect. You don't like your origin, and you don't like your destiny. So you have no purpose in your living. And that's what we see in the hood. You know, I'm going to say this one time, I know I'm going to get in trouble, but I want us to get this. We got to transform the niggerhood back into the neighborhood. That's our job. And right now we have become comfortable and tolerating living in niggerhoods. They got to come back to neighborhoods. And they got to come back to black neighborhoods. And in order to do that, we have to redeem, reclaim, resurrect what it means to be black. We wear it as a badge of shame and dishonor. And in doing so, it dishonors and shames our ancestors. I just wanted to make sure I got that in on this last few days of Black August. Because if you're ashamed of your blackness and you're ashamed of your Africanness, there's really nothing for us to unify around. I was listening to my good people on the show before me, and shout out to my brother Gabriel Bryant, does a lot of work in our community. They were having a conversation about violence prevention at one point and unity. And I say to people, like, there's a lot of opportunities in that space that I don't pursue, because I've said a long time ago, I don't do violence prevention. I don't do prevention. I don't do any of that. Because I believe that elevation is the best remedy. Elevation is your prevention. And when we begin to walk and think and breathe and live into our elevated selves, it will prevent a lot of the bull crap that we are experiencing. So the only prevention I know is elevation. Walk into your higher self, man. Walk into your higher self, woman. Walk into your higher self, hood, leader, institution, child, elder. The best prevention for us right now, actually the only prevention for us right now, is elevation. Everything we do must be about elevation. Anything less is our demise. Reverend Joe, greetings. Good afternoon. Welcome to Grounded.
Good afternoon. March on. Don't give up. Give out, but don't give up. I thought about this. The more things change, the more things remain the same. I've been fighting this battle into the same subjects, and I'll be 82 in a couple of months. It's the same stuff. These white men hate black men. They love black women. They love black little kids for other reasons than normal. But most of the time, a real stand-up black man, you have a hard way to go, but you got to be convinced. And you look at things different. You look at things differently. So continue to have the courage you have to stand. Don't look for a crowd.
I still say, though, sir, our biggest problem right now is that we hate elevated black men. And
all right, okay,
so,
I'll go along with that.
that's the thing we got to fix. See, I'm not what I have no vested interest. You know this, sir. You're a man, and we're people. We know how humanity works. No other group who considers themselves outside of you is going to necessarily like the elevated man of any other group, because that is his real threat enemy in his paradigm. That just goes, like, if I'm the man at my score, if I'm the man on my team, the other team that I'm playing against is not going to like me because they know I'm the man. That's the rules of the gosh darn game that we got to stop whining about. They ain't supposed to like us, especially if we walk in our power. They will only like us if we concede and bow down on our knees. So if we're pursuing them liking us, we have already lost. I want them scared of me. I want them worried about who I am when I walk in my power. That's the way men are supposed to walk. That's the way our people are supposed to walk.
Amen.
But we don't even want that for ourselves. We stop ourselves from elevating before we can ever deal with our adversary. That's why we lose.
Well, I tell the people at church, you're black until further notice. So thank you, thank you so much. And you just continue to stay strong as you can. But I'm telling you, I'm praying every day that the Lord give me enough strength to keep fighting this fight for the right.
That's right. You got it. It's there. Let's walk in it.
Okay.
According to Stephen Biko, who I want to honor today, again, one of the major voices, I think, unsung voices in anything we call black liberation, Steve Bantu Biko out of South Africa. I want to read these words, his definition of black consciousness before we go to break. He says, being black is not a matter, or not just a matter of pigmentation. Being black is a reflection of a mental attitude. Merely by describing yourself as black, you have started on a road towards emancipation. You have committed yourself to fight against all forces that seek to use your blackness as a stamp that marks you out as a subservient being. Briefly defined, therefore, black consciousness is, in essence, the realization by the black man and woman of the need to rally together with his and her brothers and sisters around the cause of their operation, the blackness of their skin, and to operate as a group in order to rid themselves of the shackles that bind them to perpetual servitude. Black consciousness seeks to demonstrate the lie that black is an aberration from the normal. Black is the essence, y'all. Aberration from the normal, which is white. Nah. White is the construction designed to negate black. We got to understand that. And that's historical. I'm not making that up. That's not a religious rhetorical refrain. That's social construction truth. It is a manifestation of a new realization that by seeking to run away from ourselves and to emulate the white man, blacks are insulting the intelligence of whoever created us black. Black consciousness, therefore, takes cognizance of the deliberateness of God's plan in creating black people black. It seeks to infuse the black community with a newfound pride in ourselves, our efforts, our value systems, our culture, our religion, and our outlook on black life. We'll talk with you after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your morning commute on Wake Up with Word. Weekdays 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. hosted by Solomon Jones. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
He was the heart of your family, and he taught you our history. He helped you fix your first flat. He was the best backyard DJ around. And every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect, in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa. What's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage.
The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Tune in this Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. for the Islam Today show with a perspective on moral guidance and Islamic principles and values.
WordRadio.com.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy.
When the coronavirus is over, what will you have to show for it? A cleaner home, yoga lessons you took online, old pictures of family members, a body a little bigger and heavier, too many refrigerator trips, eating too much, sad memories of family and friends who died or new babies born, talking on Zoom or other platforms with friends and clients or my new job. Learn to stop rushing here and there. Just start talking and playing with your folks. Maybe you got pregnant physically or pregnant with new ideas. May God bless you with peace for great living. Coronavirus is almost over. Folks, what will you have to show for it?
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings with Brother Shamari. Our goal today is to get some black consciousness. I did an existential introspection question on Sunday. The question was black is, and I had people fill in the blank. And if you have something you want to offer into that dialogue, hit us up at 215-634-8065. Let me lay out the timeline for today. Of course, in our next segment, 1:45 or so, the Cloudens will join us with our continual conversation and planning and work around No More 0%. 2 o'clock hour, we'll delve into my central question of the day. 3 o'clock hour, if all goes well, we'll be joined by my brother Obi Egbuna Jr. It's the 4th Friday of the month, and we do our Dynamics of the African Diaspora segment. And we'll close out our show. So again, my question today comes from, I always say one of my favorite songs, but this actually is probably my favorite song. If I had to pick the song, like sometimes when I hear the song, I can't even stop from crying. I just love this song. The original was done by Bob Marley and the Wailers, but the version I was introduced to the song came through his son Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. So that's the version I'm gonna play right now. And it's just inspiration to me, and I want to put it out there because the question. Not yet. The question I want to ask you all to ponder for today, another existential romp. And, sometimes existential doesn't work on radio, but we're going to make it happen. The song is called Time Will Tell. And my question to you, time will tell what story for us? Time will tell something. The question is, what is the story it's going to tell for us? Us is black people. And I'm going to add part 2 to that is, what are we then going to have to do to make the story time will tell come true? Let me do that again. 2-part. I'm a professor is what I do. Sorry. Time will tell. The question is, time will tell what? Time will tell what story? That's part 1. And then part 2, what work, what effort, what kazi will we have to be called towards in order to make the story that time will tell come to be? Time will tell what? That's the question I want us to explore right here. 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free. 866-361-0900. Let's take a listen to what is probably my favorite song.
we no more.
We got to back them up. We got to back them up. Oh, my sycamore tree, they took us from the free country. Oh, my sycamore tree, they took us from the free country. We got to settle the score. We got to settle the score. They build you up, then they mash you down. Them set us up. Children weep no more.
Get much clearer than that. Them took us from the free country. We got to settle the score. Everything else is cowardice. Everything else is a betrayal of our calling, betrayal of our ancestors, a betrayal of our children's future. Our sovereignty, regaining it by any means and all means necessary and available, is our calling. Anything less is cowardice. Anything less is taking a knee to our purpose. We have to stop living at that level. That is beneath us. It's beneath the sacrifices made. It's beneath the destiny we are called to produce. I ain't got it in me to have conversations less than that. I don't have it in me to engage in relationships less than that. I don't have it in me to do work less than that. Too many of us are taking knees on our destiny. They took us from the free country. We got to back them up. We got to settle the score. Then we have to gain, reclaim, redeem our sovereignty. That's the only conversation. It's the only way I know how to be. Anything else, leave me alone, leave me out of it. I have no time, no care. That is my calling. When those scales get measured for me, when Tehuti is determining whatever it is that happens on the black side, the omega black side of my alpha black journey, the only measuring rod that's going to matter for me is what my contribution has been to the reclamation of our sovereignty, the elevation of our blackness. Anything less, I could give a hoot about. Leave it away from me. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to believe it. I don't want none of that. Time will tell what story. That's the question. If you call here, answer that question. I ain't got time for no other around the mulberry bush stuff. Time will tell what story. Part 1. Part 2. With work, effort, blood, sweat, breath, tears, kazi, offering, sacrifice, do we have to bring forward in order to make the story come to be? That's an elevated people's question. So let's have some elevated dialogue. 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Let's go to Brother Spread Love. Greetings.
God bless the John is love. Manners and respect. Brother Shamari, how you making out today?
I'm good, sir. Trying to walk in the elevation, man. I'm tired of playing in the pig pen.
Yeah, right on.
You gotta do something with that background.
What's happening?
It was some echoing in the background.
That's John Powers. Give God glory. And as always, of course, thank you for your show. God bless my brother Mike on the boards. and the WRD family and all the victims, especially right now, everything that's going on, too many to mention, but know that our hearts, thoughts, and prayers are always with them. We could mention them, but it would take too long, which is unfortunate. And I pray God bless all those working to make it better. And God bless all the incarcerated, especially those incarcerated wrongly, who are innocent, and especially if they get to tune into WRD. And God bless all the youth. I was just going to call and say more love, wish you a good show. God bless a great day, as best as we can have it with all this turmoil that's going on in the world. May God bless our hearts, mind, body, and soul. And the version you played with the Ziggy Marley is banging. You know, the Bob song.
Yeah, yeah. I shout out to, I know a father always wants his children to elevate, and I think on this song, man, I love the original, but this version of that, man, just speaks to my soul at a deep level. And that Nibingi heartbeat in the back, man, just keeps this thing going.
Yeah, is that a live version?
Yeah, it's a live version.
Well, it's all the way live. I was going to ask, as a musical request, if you with it, also please play Rasta Man Live Up.
All right. I'll work that in the game.
And that's the whole thing. It's an elevation.
There you go, bro.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I was just going to say elevation. You can look at it as the same way Rasta say live up.
That's right.
Know?
That's right.
You live up to the legacy we enjoy. You live up to the better potential of us being ourselves, which is the real key. And remember, God bless my brother. Remember the black man, Jah Christ, see? Because he is the way, and Rastafari is the key. You with it, you want it. And when you, God bless, when it embrace you and embrace it, my brother, I'm telling you, it's tears. It's beautiful. But one more thing I wanted to ask real quick. Thank you. Something I don't hear nobody talking about no more that might be interesting. One way to stop the violence, of course, like Great Garvey always told us, if we knew more of our glorious heritage, we'd be more inclined to reflect it. So if we were properly educated on who we are, what we've been through, and where we've been globally, throughout ancient times to modern, we got a better chance of loving ourselves and each other, which is going to, help defer that hate.
Right.
But also, nobody be talking about Steve Coakley no more, bless his heart and rest his soul.
Okay, good
and
point.
how he was exposing the traitors amongst us, starting on a collegiate to professional level, if you understand what I'm working to say.
No, I got you, man. And it's funny because I elevated Steve Coakley early on in this COVID crisis because a lot of those people who have been dismissed, and I'm going to let you go on that because I'm hearing myself echo in the background. A lot of those people we dismissed as conspiracy theorists and all these other things, their words, their prophecies, their research, as Malcolm said, history is going to be the best reward. It's going to be the best measure, and history is showing the prophecy, the rightness of their calling. So I'll dig back in the tapes, in the crates, and try to bring that forward again. But I do want to say I did create a space for honoring him because a lot of what he talked about is coming to fore in these moments. And again, just for your record, so people know, he's talking about Steve Coakley. Look him up. He's on Google, YouTube. Google the word Steve Coakley, man, and you'll see a lot of what the brother offered some 10, 20, 30 years ago in his work that a lot of people thought was crazy or to the left or whatever. A lot of that's coming to fruition. Coakley, Cokley. Again, time will tell. The question is, time will tell what story for we, the people darker than blue. And what is the work that we, the people darker than blue, yes, us, the black people, have to do? What's the breath? What's the blood, the sweat, the tears, the offering by our hand, our work, our soul, our mind, our body, our spirit, that we will have to contribute in order to bring forward the trueness of the story that time will tell? It's a big question. I know we get scared of big questions, but we live in a rat race because we won't contemplate the big questions. We won't engage in black thought, which is thought in and of itself. It comes from our black space, our melanin and pineal space. That's why thought is derived from the Greek word for the god Thoth, which is derived from our Kemetic netter, Tehuti. Tehuti is going to be the judge at the gates when you enter into the omega side of the black life. And the question is, what will the contribution be? What's the story that's going to be told about that contribution? Because that's what you're going to be held, and we're going to be held accountable to. So let's think. 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. When we come back from commercial break, we'll be joined by Mama Gail and Baba Horace Cloughton to talk about No More 0%. And this idea, y'all, that's why this elevation is important, because if we don't elevate, we stay in a social construct designed to keep us denigrated. The public school system in Philadelphia, having more schools that operate at 0% that house our black children than they do any schools that can achieve excellence that house our black children, is what happens when a people accept and acquiesce to their denigration. We say no more 0% after these messages.
Our right to vote and to make our voices heard was a fight that's taken decades of struggle. That fight was brought to life by heroes like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and John Lewis. That fight was shaped by events such as the March on Washington, the Montgomery bus boycott, and the standoff at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Now, some are telling us that it's unsafe to vote by mail, that it's a fraud. These are lies. We've come too far to let the clock be turned back now. Our voices will be heard, and our votes will count and be counted. Get your absentee ballot today. Mail it in or drop it off as soon as you can. Vote early to make sure that our voices are heard. Remember, our vote counts only if our vote is counted. Go to projectyellowstone.us and click on your state to find out how to vote today. Paid for by Project Yellowstone.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Philadelphia families, PHL Pre-K, the city's free pre-K program, is now enrolling. Over 130 pre-K centers are getting ready to serve children this year with appropriate health and safety precautions. There are no income limits for this free pre-K program. Children who are 3 or 4 years old as of September 1 can enroll. Call 844-PHL Pre-K or visit phlprek.org to learn more and find a quality pre-K center. That's 844-PHL Pre-K. This program is made possible by the Philadelphia Beverage Tax.
Groundings
with Brother Shamari
right now on Word Radio
and wordradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings with Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari right here, Word Radio, wordradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. And as always, for the last few weeks, working on a month now, we've been having a conversation that has a very clear outcome. No more 0%. Height, I'm gonna call them the heights. They gotta go. Whatever's associated with the team that's administering this calamity we call public education in the city of Philadelphia. Step one. It's not the goal. It's not the goal. Him going is not the goal. It's a step in the process, and the process is no more 0%. That's the baseline. The elevation is it's time for 100%, based on the terms and criteria that we set as relevant and meaningful for the education of black children. That is it. It's that clear, that simple. And it is our duty to make that happen. And I'm glad to be working with Mama and Baba, the dynamic duo, Baba Horace and Mama Gail Cloughton, who join us to talk about No More 0%. Greetings, good afternoon, and welcome to Groundings.
Hey, good afternoon. Peace and love.
How y'all doing?
Great.
Great.
Let's jump right in because time is a ticking. So real quick, let people know No More 0%, why that name for the effort, and then what is our did you know statistical quantifiable nugget for this week?
Well, again, 0% represents the student achievement in reading on grade level, proficiency in English, language arts, and math. And that's 0 to 100. And the 24 high schools that we have are at 0%. Now, if I can, I came up with a different topic I wanted to talk about today, and that is how do we navigate through a failing school district halfway to high school? Now, last week we talked about the top 3 high schools, which was Central, Masterman, Engineering, and Science. Their student achievement range was between 75 and 95. Now I want to jump down to what comes below that. And if I can, read the names of these schools. So if the audience, if you don't hear your school or school your child goes to, then the percentage is under 24%. Now, the first one is Academy at Colombo. That's at 51%. You got Gerard Academic Music, that's 59%. You have Science Leadership Academy, that's 55%. And then you have Parkway Center City. Now it drops down to another group, and you have Philadelphia High School for Girls at 46% student achievement.
Wow.
You have Kappa, Creative Arts and Performing Arts. That's 32%. Now you have Arts Academy at Benjamin Rush, which is 49. You have Bodine at 48, and you have the Hill Freeman World Academy at 38. That's it. That's your 9 schools, your 9 high schools that come directly under your 3 top schools. And then the other 24 or other 38, out of the 38, you have 24 that's at 0%. And then you have a remainder of high schools that range between 1% and 24%. So how do you, parents, or caregivers, how do you really navigate through a failing system to come out to, if you're not in one of these top 3 high schools, you're in a failing high school? Because I think that the data shows, or the academic scale says that from 60 to 69 is a D. So all these other schools are below 60. So here, what is it? A failing school, or is it E? I mean, that's something for the district that the superintendent needs to answer. What's a successful student achievement percentage? Because at the last board meeting, I gave the Board of Education this binder that makes it easy to read, all 215 schools, 27 pages. They can just find a school in a matter of minutes, and they can see this material that we talk about every week. And also, I posed the question to the superintendent, what is a successful student achievement percentage?
Well,
go
ahead, Mama Gil.
I was going to say, I like to say, if we're misreading their documentation, let us know, and let us know how to read it properly if we're misreading it.
Yeah, I have a question that I really want us to officially forward to the school district and its administration. And that is, in light of what we're seeing in the binder, which is their data, right? This is not coming from, it's their own data. I would like them to go on record and tell us, because I remember going to Central High School for boys when the battle for the top 3 schools in the city was always between Central, Masterman, and Girls High. And when you're telling me now Girls High is 49% achievement, like what happened to Girls High? Like somebody got to answer that question. And the question over that for me is, I would want this administration to point to 3 areas that they could say they've had a positive impact on the education of children in the city of Philadelphia under their tenure. Like, what are the 3 areas that we could look at that are quantifiable and tangible, that you can look at as a leadership team and say, this is where we bang in. We did great work here. We did great work here. We did great work here over the last 7 or 8 years. I don't know where that is, but I want them to have the opportunity to say, yes, there are some struggles that we have. They've already gone on record and said, yeah, we're ashamed of being a $3 billion operation that kind of is not delivering what we're getting paid to deliver. You read a quote last week from the chairman of the school board that says something like that. But I want them to say, this is where we're actually doing great work. And I want it to be in a tangible, real space. And I don't think that they'd be able to do it, but I would like to offer them the opportunity to do that.
Right. And you know, just to throw a few names out there, because a few names of schools, because we kind of remember that, you know, it took a lot to get into these schools. They had a lot to offer. And just looking at one, it would be a Saul school. The school with the animals and the agriculture.
Yep.
Their achievement was once 10%, and then it dropped down currently to 7%. Wow. That's as of February of this year. And that's a special and mixed school.
Correct. You got to travel way up on the other side of town and beyond Roxborough to get to that joint.
I'm trying.
And then just to reiterate, at one time, the superintendent came in talking about quality seats. He wants to create quality seats. Well, you had the U School, you had Building 21, and you had the Link. All were created by the superintendent, and all of them are at 0%.
Right. Can you get to that big, beautiful quality school there on Parkside Avenue? I think they call it High School of the Future. Because our question today is time will tell. Time will tell us what. So the big, you know, I hear the High School of the Future. And I want to know what the future looks like for that high school. Let me know what they're doing at that big, beautiful building. I got to believe that with all the hoopla that came with the creation of High School of the Future, they got to be amongst some of the top performing schools, right?
Right. High School of the Future. Here we go. They're a whopping 0%.
Yeah, I knew that. I just, you know, the question again, until we decide that we're worth more, that we're going to operate at a high, see, we've tolerated this. And I think black adults, this is why this is a thing for me. We can talk about this, and it exists and it's real, and the people who have administered this to me have to go. That's an unequivocal scratch line. But we also have to begin to ask ourselves, how did we sit idly by over the last 7 years and really over the last 2-3 decades and let this system exist that by design is destabilizing our children, who literally to this day can't look in front of them and project 3 months, 6 months, a year from now without despair. And if you want to deal with the violence that everybody is talking about right now, you can't disentangle that conversation from the conversation we're having right now, where this school system has handicapped our children and made them unable to see a future for themselves in the society that they live in. That's an egregious act of negligence on our behalf.
And just to throw this out here, because people say, well, you know, we need to learn a trade. And here you have 3 trade schools, Mastbaum, Randolph Tech, and Dobbins, all at 0%.
I thought they were going to have a couple percent up in that one. I didn't know you were going to hit me with another 0. Wow.
Another 0%. Now, you know, hopefully the principals can call in and defend you know, how well they're doing in the trades. But, you know, when it comes back to proficiency in, you know, reading on grade level, proficiency in English, language arts, and math, you know, the question I always like to ask is, what are the test scores looking like for a whole school to have a designation of 0?
That's a very great question. The other thing we got to look at is, you can't get any worse than 0%. So over the last 7 years, the question is, has it been 0% across these 7 years? or were these schools actually operating a few digits above zero, and under this tenure they've descended to zero? Because I would contend that either way you can't get more damning evidence than the fact that there exists a plethora of 0% performing schools. Literally almost half of the high schools in the city of Philadelphia under the jurisdiction of this administration have achievement levels at 0%.
That's correct. 24 out of 50.
Whew. Mama Gail, you know, this might be an unfair question for you to do in the time that we have, but we're coming up on a break, and when I come back, I want both of you just to give us, from your perspective, the light forward. What does the light forward look like? The story that time will tell, and the work necessary in order for the story to be that we've elevated our children to the level of educational proficiency on our watch, by our hands, with our people. Coming up on the commercial break, when we come back, let's talk about the path forward right here on Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari. And if you want to join in, this would be your time to hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Because right now, y'all, we are authoring our future by the work, by the thoughts, and by the expressions we choose to bring forward now. We are writing our children's future, creating their future, creating our future now. We're writing our story. What's the work in order to make the aspirations come true? Talk with you after these messages.
The Murray Report.
Bringing you the latest in sports news and opinions.
Hosted by Chris Murray. Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WordRadio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Hey, Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
Right now, the health and financial security of older Americans are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely, whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA votes, paid for by AARP.
The Word Radio newsletter.
Keeping you informed, engaged, and connected.
Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources.
Stay informed
with the Word Radio newsletter. This is Word Radio.
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
Groundings
with Brother Shamari.
Right now on Word Radio
and WordRadio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings with Brother Shamari, and this Groundings and Elevations. I know I'm going to have to work that out, but I changed the name on the fly. I like it much better. I want to, again, before we get back to Mama Gail and Bob Horvis, with the question of the day for me is what's the story we're trying to write to get us to the point where our children are proficient on our own terms at a level of 100% of what we define as what our children need to learn? And what's the work that we have to do to begin to write that story? One of the things we're very clear about is that this current structure, system, leaders, all of it, the stakeholders, the gatekeepers, they got to go. And the power, the purpose, the intentionality of our children's preparation has to be returned to our hands, which is our responsibility anyway. We should have never given it away. It should have never been taken away. But now we got to take it back. I want to read these words from ancestor Steve Bantu Biko, because there's some of us out there who don't believe in black people. I hear it in these conversations all along. People there's an underlying lack of belief in our power and potentiality to deliver our people's future. And that is why we keep acquiescing to the matters and the powers that be, because we don't believe in ourselves and our ability to bring forth black life. Steve Biko says, one must immediately dispel the thought that black consciousness is merely a methodology or a means towards an end. What black consciousness seeks to do is to produce at the output end of the process real black people who do not regard themselves as appendages, mere appendages to white society. And our education process must produce those black people who see themselves as their own potential, their own power, walking in their own purpose. So I'm saying to Mama Gail and Barbara Horace, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about the light, the path forward.
Blessings. You know, I've been speaking and speaking and speaking and speaking and speaking. And recently I began to say, this is a call to action. And I'll say it again for everyone listening. This is a call to action. 0% is unacceptable. I'm going to repeat what you said. No more 0%. We are so much better than that. And when you ask the question, I'm going to answer like this, with messages that I've been delivering for years, that I was told as I prayed over this and other situations that it is time for us to remember, reconnect, reclaim, and recommit. We must reclaim these children. We can't allow people to think that they're less than anybody, especially when we know that we are the descendants of those that lived and came forward and created their own institutions after being enslaved.
Right.
That were special before others got here to these shores. And so a path forward is what I wrote, connecting our home, schools, and communities. It is very important because many of us in the community have been assisting schools. They'd be worse than they are if people from the communities weren't going in as volunteers and part-time labor.
That's true.
Right? They'd be worse than they are. And it's so interesting to me that those of us that know what we do and what we've done really understand, understand, and understand that we are the power, that it is our people that are the power. These children sitting there know it as well, and I think that's why they feel so disappointed in us. We have the ability to reshape all of this, but first you have to be honest. Too many of our people have sold us out. You have fraternities and sororities and this group and that group that are friends, and they didn't speak up. They didn't protect the children because they have friends. They have sister friends in these groups and brother friends in these groups. And rather than say, brother, you wrong, sister, you wrong, or sister, what's going on, or brother, what's going on, hold them to it. We cannot be cowards. I don't care how much we care about one another as adults. These children have been suffering. They've been suffering because we didn't do enough. Enough of us didn't. Let me tell you, a whole lot have been working and working diligently. I'm saying it again. However, it's time now for everybody that has anything that they can give to give. Whether it's making phone calls or reaching out, one of the first things we can do is start to speak to each other again. start to give respect to each other again, all kinds of doors will open then because the ancestors are waiting for us to do that. I'm saying enough is enough. It's important to reach out and let people know. This ain't no secret.
Right.
That's what they've been trying to make it, a secret. They have failed our children. Our children aren't failing. They have failed them. They failed us. And it is time for them to go. We sat by year after year. People have told them month after month after month, year after year. School Reform Commission came. They set up some stuff. They wanted, they pushed, they promoted stuff that's 0%. Years after they're gone. So we have the tools. We have sisters and brothers in our community that have been teaching, have been working with children for years and years and years. Everybody knows. Let me say this. Because I always say it's not everybody and it's never nobody. We have so many people that know how to run schools, that know how to teach children, and have all kinds of skills. It's time for y'all to step the heck up and stop making excuses.
There you go.
These people have no more power over us than we give them.
And again, elevation is the key to any form of prevention. And when you have, what we have is, everybody understands that. And so what we've done is we've taken and handed over our children, which essentially is us handing over our future, to people who know that if we elevate these children in their blackness, then they're going to be, quote unquote, competitors to us and our children. And so my thing is, we shouldn't even be surprised by this moment based on that decision, which is why we have to reclaim the elevation process. We have to reclaim the education process. We have to reclaim the preparation process under our own auspices if we want the best optimal outcome for our children. That is the responsibility of our adults. It is the responsibility of our leadership, and it is responsibility of our village to educate, prepare, and elevate our people and our children. Baba Harris, any guiding light forward from you?
Well, since we demand that they not go back to this type of in-person instruction, you must reevaluate the teachers and the principals. You know, this report shows that there's a poor teacher's attendance. You want to blame the victim, the student, and you can't even get consistency out of the teachers. Second, you want to blame the principals, because here, the principals, as of maybe 90%, are giving these teachers on their observations a scale between 90 and 100% in proficient. Now, if you're between 90 and 100% proficient, how are you getting student achievement at 0%? You know, so it goes hand in hand. And you know what's great? Now that you have COVID, I think the district should be doing that, reevaluating their 11,000 teachers.
Well, you know, ironically, I think the PFT's contract is up or coming up, and they're literally starting to have contract renegotiation discussions right now. I think they start next week, if I'm not mistaken. So just so people understand, like, this is the moment, y'all. If you got to strike at the strike point while the point is there to be hit. And there is no reason right now that we should be standing or sitting or waiting idly by while a system of dysfunction and failure gets to reconfigure itself to figure out how it better fails ourselves and our people. We shouldn't let them do that in comfort.
And I just like to leave this with the listening audience. Just imagine yourself, the audience, has to report to work. These teachers with this upcoming year right now, we don't know, but they only have to come to work 188 days. You know,
that's the year.
Compare that to how many days you have to show up for work if everything was fine this year.
And you still have...
They have a history. They have a history of poor attendance.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous.
They only some of them are only making 60% of those 180 something days. This thing has been designed by a certain group of people, and most of these teachers are not of the same persuasion as our children. Let's be clear. Many of the teachers, I would almost say most of the teachers, don't live within the city limits of the city of Philadelphia. So they don't have the interest.
Because they had to shut the schools down.
Exactly.
Many of them.
So there's nothing that they don't have an affinity or an interest in the well-being of the children that they teach. And that is why, if we understand elevation is the key to prevention, that preparation is the key, that a sense of the future is the key, the only people who have the best interest of the students who need that are the people who love those students. It has to be returned back to the village. And so if people want to join this continual effort, no more 0%, not just parents, hit us up at nomore0%@gmail.com. That is no more, the number 0, the word percent @gmail.com. Also hit us up at notjustparents@gmail.com. And we will link back to you because, again, this is not just a radio dialogue. This is actually organizing, mobilizing, relational, getting together, working to make sure that we return to ourselves the authority, the right, the purpose education of our children such that they can prepare to build the future necessary for our people to be powerful in the world that's coming before us. So I thank you, as always, for joining us here on Groundings, Mama Gail and Baba Harris.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your day.
Blessings.
Thank you. And if you want to join in, time will tell what's the story we're writing and what's the work, the kazi, the contribution we have to begin to make in order to make that story come into manifestation. Hit us up at 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Let's go to Maurice in Southwest. Greetings.
What's going on, Shamari? Let me tell you something. Black people don't love their children. I'm putting it out there just like that. They worry more about an iPhone and what's the latest thing out, instead of worrying about their children. When I was a child, if I came in the house without my books, that was an ass beating. What are you coming home with no books for? Well, she didn't give me no homework. I get punched in the eye. You had homework, and if you didn't have none, you better make some.
But Brother Maurice, I will tell you again, what you're saying, you're going back to the school you went to when you were little.
I understand
These
that, but
children, bro, time out for a minute. These children have no damn books, man. That's real. That's true. They go to schools where the schools don't give them books. That's a real thing. So why the child got to get punched in the eye for that? Why we ain't punching these mugs in the eye?
I understand that, but when I was telling about my experience, but today everything is on an iPad or a computer.
And they don't have those either, man. This system has system. Bro, time out for a minute. See, this is my problem with our people right here. This is this moment. We automatically go to self-blame. That's that nigga chip we got. We automatically go, bro, I am telling you, they go to schools. They don't systematically have access to counselors, to nurses, to libraries. They don't have access to science and technology. They don't have access to damn books. And we have sat by for damn near a decade and let that be the reality. And then we wonder why they can't read or can't function in this world. They have been systematically handicapped and unable to do so. Now, I agree with you. It's our responsibility to have said and done something about that systematic reality. That is not our children's fault. Our children are the products of this failed process that we've tolerated on their behalf because we don't like ourselves as black people, and we think black people deserve this outcome. We're not putting that target on our children.
Shamari, you made my point. You said exactly what I meant. You said exactly what I meant.
Then you can thank me.
No, you did. You actually said exactly what I meant, but you just said a little better than me. This is what I'm saying. Dr. Height has been here 9 years. He done made $3 million worth of salary off of us, and we still ain't say, hey, Dr. Height, where is the black teachers? You should be sending out all over the country and paying them a little bit more just to bring as many black teachers to Philadelphia as you can. Then for the kids that don't want to go to college, we should have some of the best trade schools in the country right here, especially when we're half the population of Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Maurice, can I ask you a question?
They should be getting the benefits more than anybody.
What if Mr. Height's job was to destroy us?
Well, you know what? We destroyed Mr. Height.
Right.
Think about that one.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't think
Look,
it was an accident.
No, we have shows right here on this station that we can't even ask him a question.
Yep.
What do you say about that?
I agree with you, sir, and I believe that in the position he's in, that should not be allowed.
No, I don't even have children. I will raise at least 25 children in my lifetime, taking them to school, going to school meetings, educating them on Black history, trying to tell them the best I can of myself. But I look at other parents that actually have children and actually call themselves good parents and don't even think twice about why they're not studying, how come they can't read, how come the only thing they eat for dinner is chicken wings and some french fries.
Yep.
That's the parents.
And I agree with you, but your parents and your people and our village
I can't make no more excuses.
is a process of a system that was designed to create the reality that we have. And we will have this reality as long as we tolerate this reality. And at some point, people got to say, nah, this is beneath us. You know what, children? I need you to see us fight and win on your behalf. And I've said this to people all the time. If you want to deal with violence in the city, if you want to deal with the lack of despair, the despair and the lack of vision that our young people are walking around when they say, I'm just hustling, I'm just grinding, I'm just trying to get it by day by day. If you want to deal with that, if you want that to change overnight, let them see their elders, their adults, and particularly their fathers, the men, on the front line of the battles that need to be fought on their behalf. Overnight, you will see a difference in the culture of Black Philadelphia. But you can't talk anywhere where Black men are on the front line. They'll ride around, and after somebody gets shot, they'll group up and say, oh, that's sad. Let's put up some teddy bears and give me a couple dollars so I can come to your neighborhood and act like I care. But until Black children see Black men, Black elders, Black leaders on the front line fighting against the very systems that are designed to destroy them, our children have every damn right to act in the despair, whatever you want to term how they're acting. They have every right to do so because we continue to fail them. And the question is, time will tell, because time's going to tell a story. It's going to do it. That's what time does. The question is right now, as we're writing that story, what will time tell? Because I listen to WRD, and I always hear the cries and the criticism and the lamentations and oh my God, and we do it well. Black people do that well. We protest better than any other group. We march. Y'all marching right now. Y'all in D.C. right now, mask all over your face, outside marching, social distance. No offense. One of the dumbest damn things I've ever heard is the idea of a social distance protest march. Like, envision what that, come on. It's a laughing stock. You go on a social distance mask outside protest march. That's how we bring honor to our ancestors. The foolishness has to stop. At some point, we have to define who we are, where our power lies, and how we will redeem and reclaim that power. At some point, we have to decide that we're better than this. But most importantly, we have to decide that we are going to make the contribution necessary for the love of Black children to tell the story. 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. I'm going to let my music talk for me. If you decide to call, we'll vibe. But, I don't have a lot of faith in the ability of our people to elevate into the blackness that we are called for. We live in white society. That's not the issue. The issue for us is that white society now lives within us. And until we purge that, it's going to be very hard to move forward. Talk to you after these messages.
Fridays, it's right here on Word Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with Daybreak, hosted by Halana. At 7, it's time to wake up with Word, with host Solomon Jones. Then at 10, it's a special edition of The Source with Tiffany Bacon, followed by Groundings at 1 p.m., hosted by Brother Shamari. At 4 p.m., it's Laborers Live, hosted by Lessit. Then at 5, it's Solutions on Word. At 7 p.m., it's the Envy McKee Show. Then at 10, it's Freedom Sounds of Jazz, followed up by Messages in the Music, hosted by Joey Temple. Fridays are something special on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Your daughter got her learner's permit, so you're getting her favorites at McDonald's to celebrate. And you let her drive. Now, if you could just make it to the drive-thru. Enjoying the journey together? That's something to value. Make a quick breakfast stop at McDonald's, where a tasty Chicken McGriddles and McChicken Biscuit are just $2 each. Prices and participation may vary, cannot be combined with combo meal.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power, hosted by Mark Palmer.
No fear, just facts. WURD. A global pandemic, dozens of police shootings, nationwide uprisings, National Guard on city streets, and that's just in the past 6 months. It's time to set an agenda, a black national agenda for the next administration. Tune in to Word Radio and Word TV this Friday, August 28th from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. for a special live broadcast of the 2020 Black National Convention, presented in partnership with New Voices for Reproductive Justice, featuring a series of conversations, performances, activations geared toward engaging, informing, and mobilizing black communities, and the ratification of a black national agenda ahead of the November elections, guided by the Vision for Black Lives, anchored by Reality Check host Charles Ellison. Don't miss it. Be sure to tune in this Friday from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. for the 2020 Black National Convention, exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the Word Radio app, and watch live on Word TV via Facebook or visit wordradio.com and scroll to the bottom of the page. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com.
From jungle to Rima, from Tivoli to Matthews Lane. Hey. From Waterhouse to Jerusalem, from Painland to Delacroix. Are you turning for have a plan? And have some ambition. And make sure who know from in the Yamagidian. So when you son become a man, him know just where you stand. Him know him Papa said this, so him follow tradition. If Marcus Garvey step in read, then where some man a pray. Cause knowledge are the key and it we set the people free. And highly high philosophy is African unity. Who know what segregation and social impurity. The race is not just for the swift, but those who can endure. Make sure you have a steady footing in a Zion door. And keep your thoughts pure. Your love is for the poor. But some little boy about some gun them woman can't afford. If just have blood to run, the ledger will be done. The heaven and the earth will pass away before him word no come out. If it rise without a cost, there will be no reward. For you to enter Zion gates because you are a fraud. For the youths in the struggle, ooh yeah, fighting guerrilla warfare. Hey. Somalia to Ethiopia, from Egypt to Zimbabwe. I listen as they say a war. If cola is a scar, if one from every work. So some man a lurks. Don't fix up on them corner side like rubbish sheep and dirt. I listen lassie say you want respect for every man. No care the race, no care the color, nor the religion. So make a decision, be body division. Cause each and every rasta youth fit shot for the mission. Hey. From Portmore to Kingston, from Kingston to Montego Bay. Hey. From Seaview to Riverton, come on 100 Park Lane. From jungle to Ream, from Tivoli to Matthews Lane. Hey. From Southside to Tel Aviv, from Iraq to USA. From Waterhouse to Jerusalem, yeah. Greenland to Delacre. Portmore, Kingston to boom.
Welcome back to Groundings with Brother Shamari. Time will tell what story, y'all, and what's the work we have to put in to make that story time will tell come true. Hit me up at 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. I'm going to let my music do the talking for me. That was The Mission by Stephen Marley. We on the mission, y'all. It's time to get busy. I don't know what else this other stuff is we doing. It's dishonorable, to be honest with you. But who am I to judge? Let's go to Juan in Baltimore. Line 1, greetings.
Pete, Brother Shamari.
How you doing, Juan?
See, I don't want to leave them all drawn out and everything like that. I just want to say that time will tell that we were in all the chosen people. And said, what the other part of the question?
What's the work that has to go into making that story true?
The work that has to go in, we have to reclaim our mind.
Okay.
If we take the purging, yes, that's something that has to be done. But I think that the whole problem is that because that this melanated body that we have, it makes it, us a target really, and we don't want to purge or let go of this Eurocentric thing that we had that it's been embedded in us since.
I think it's the truth. Sometimes the truth, your greatest weapon your greatest weapon can be used for or against you. And I think that because we see ourselves and we are the mothers and fathers of civilization, we feel like we're accountable to everybody, that everybody gets to claim us. And so we have to be stewards of our own well-being, but at the same time, we see ourselves as having to be stewards of everybody else's well-being. So we're literally trying to fight a revolution without offending anybody, right? And I'm like, you can't do that. You have to be unique in your claim. And we are stewards of the globe. And so our job is to make sure we bring justice to the globe. That is our calling. We are the stewards who were given the calling of dominion over the globe. We have to make sure that the thing works right in the spirit of ma'at and justice and all of those things that we believe as a people of spirit, as a people of the earth. We have to bring that back. That is our calling. Anything less than that is beneath us, and we're living beneath our calling right now.
And it comes right back around to us.
There you go. It's going to keep coming until we actually win.
In a circle, revolutions.
Well, thank you for calling out of Baltimore, Brother Juan. I appreciate you. Let's go to Pat, West Philly. Greetings.
Good afternoon, Brother Shamari. How are you?
Good afternoon, Sister Pat. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to address the part of the program when we were talking about illiteracy, because I think illiteracy
Hold up. I want to get clear. Time out, because I don't think we ever used the word illiteracy. So I just want, if you want to make it about illiteracy, I want you to define the terms. I want to be very clear about what we mean when we say 0%. Because what the 0% achievement number represents is a school's aggregate percentage of their children that they teach who were able to score at the level of proficient or above on any of the standardized testing that that school takes that measures math, English and language arts, and reading.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that a student is illiterate. It just means that 0% of the students in that school could be proficient on the measurement tool that the school has chosen to measure their proficiency.
Gotcha. Okay, so I should reword it then and say that a lot of the problems that exist in the Philadelphia public school system is that, and I believe that it starts with reading.
Yes.
Because I don't think you can learn anything without reading.
I say.
I believe that, and I've been in the public school systems as a mother, as a tutor, and I still am involved. I've had books outside of my house all summer. I give away books to children all the time. And I think as adults here in Philadelphia, we need to, get books. We need to see little children in the street and hand them a book.
Yep.
The feel of a book itself
Right.
is rewarding. I think that, we have to teach our children to read.
We got to teach our people to read, ma'am.
Exactly.
Let's be honest about this thing here. I literally have people who will tell me they don't like reading. They fall asleep when they read. And I'm like, man, you can't navigate the world because everything is sign and symbol. And if if you're not literate to process the signs and symbols that are in front of you, and when you move to the digitized world, everything is going to be a sign or a symbol. So that's when I talk about the systematic handicap, and we don't understand how disadvantaged our children are becoming and our people are becoming over time as a function of these systems we send them to.
And it's generational. I don't think it's just starting. I think it's been. I had a brother that came to me a couple weeks ago with two little sisters in his hand. And I had books outside, like I said, and I have a big sign up that says, free books for children. And he rang my doorbell, and he asked me were the books free. And I came outside. Yeah, I came outside, and I handed the two little sisters books. And then I went back in my house. He rang my bell again, and he said, do you think these books are appropriately aged for these, two young ladies? So I said, yeah. And I quietly said to him, is there anyone in your home that can help them read these books?
Right.
I didn't want to come out
Right,
and say,
exactly.
you can't read.
Exactly.
So I think that we have to address this issue of not reading, and we need to, I think Malcolm X was one of the great examples of taught himself to learn.
Right.
Just by reading a book. So I think that we need to really do that, and you're right. The school systems don't have books for children to read.
Maurice needed to hear that. We need to hear that. A lot of us, I've heard, and I thank you for your call, Sister Pat.
And thank you for taking my call, and you have a great afternoon.
You too. A lot of us haven't been in the schools that our children experience right now. So when we talk about schools, we're going back 20, 30, 40 years when we were in school. Please get this memo if you get nothing else. Until you have experienced what they're calling school today, you really don't know what you're talking about, because they're not the same schools we went to. You could get a relatively decent education from the neighborhood schools 30 years ago. It's a different school. I could go around the corner to John Commodore Barry Elementary School at 59th and Race, and I left Barry. I knew some stuff. I went from there, and I was going to Hamilton, but our family moved, so I ended up at Gompers for my 6th grade year. I knew some stuff. Miss Whitfield was an excellent teacher. Miss Manning was my 3rd grade teacher. I remember my teachers. That's how good they were. I remember Miss Cini, first grade. Miss Falters was my second grade teacher. She was white. Miss Haney was black. Miss Manning was my third grade teacher. She was black. She was like that lady on That's My Mama. Like, Miss Manning ain't play. Miss Haney ain't play either. Then I had this lady, Miss Whitfield, in the 5th grade. She really didn't play. Like, strapping 3 rulers together, take you in the cloakroom, didn't play. Then I went to Miss Whitfield. She didn't play, but she was unbelievable at teaching. Then I went to Bieber, and I could just name my teachers at Bieber mainly because I had a crush on a couple of them. I ain't gonna lie. 7th, 8th grade, but I left Bieber knowing some stuff. I knew enough stuff that it got me into Central High School for boys. So I am saying to you, if you're using your educational experience from 25, 30 years ago when you went to these schools, your Overbrook back then, that ain't this Overbrook, y'all. That ain't this West. That ain't the same place. And until you go into these schools and understand the unbelievable, number one, they just nasty now. The schools, the bathrooms don't work. Running water doesn't work. The children don't have books, y'all. You could see the lead stains on the water fountains. You could see the do not use signs above the water fountains that make you feel like you back in the civil rights movement. You can see the lack of lighting. You can see the old paint. You can see that the building, and you can see the metal detectors. The building says, I don't give a darn about you, your well-being, your future, or nothing, your blackness or nothing. The building says that. And then the teachers affirm that in the way that they teach and what they teach. So let's not understand. So when your children walk out of 12 years of that and their spirits are defeated and they bring that defeated spirit back to the community in the guise of black on black violence, or in the guise of getting high, or in the guise of not seeing a future, it's because they are efficient products of a system that was by design designed to kill their spirit. While we sit idly by, time will tell. The question is, what's the story that time will tell? Because we are the authors of that story. But we also have to put work into making the story we write come true. What's the work necessary to write the story? 215. Because right now what we got is black self-blame stories. They abound. And you know what? If we put forth our best effort to destroy the systems, the shackles, and break the barriers, and then our children still didn't learn, I'd take that. Then we could blame our children. We could blame their parents. We could blame whatever we want to blame. But we ain't put up that best fight yet, y'all. So we don't have a right to castigate and to lay blame. We don't. We haven't put up the fight. And when we fight, we have to fight to win. Time will tell. It's going to tell a story. What story? We'll find out. As a matter of fact, let's not find out. Let's determine it. Let's write it. Let's be it. Let's live it. 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. We're going to go out on a little bit of music. We're going to have a commercial break. Then when we come back, we're going to get right back to the phone line. So hit us up and stay tuned.
Celebrate Africa in the Arts of Philadelphia at Woodmere Art Museum with music and fashion. On Saturday, August 29th, guests can shop from vendors with African-inspired wares, enjoy music from the Arpeggio Jazz Ensemble, and see locally made fashion, jewelry, and accessories modeled around the museum's outdoor sculpture. To provide a safe and inspiring experience for guests, tickets will be limited to 2 afternoon performances. For full details and to purchase tickets, visit woodmereartmuseum.org.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. Have an old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Pico will pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you a $75 rebate. That's right, $75. Plus, you can save as much as $150 a year on your energy bill by getting rid of it. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. Be sure your fridge or freezer is plugged in and working at time of pickup.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent black media for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM, independent black media.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings and Elevations, by the way, with Brother Shamari on Word Radio, wordradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, streaming live on Facebook Live at WURD Radio. Follow us on our social media platforms at ONWURP. Let's do that one more time. ONWURD. And we're talking groundings and elevations, y'all. And today I'm spotlighting and reading from ancestor Steve Biko. By the way, I'm reading from his book, which is a collection of essays and speeches and interviews. Steve Biko, the martyr victim of apartheid, speaks out. The book is called I Write What I Like. So I'm reading from Black Souls in White Skins. It says, from this, it becomes clear that as long as blacks are suffering from an inferiority complex, a result of 300 years of deliberate oppression, denigration, and derision, and that's what I'm telling y'all, is the school district of Philadelphia, by the way. Years of deliberate oppression, denigration, and derision. Then those blacks will be useless as co-architects of a normal society, where man is nothing else but man or woman for his or her own sake. Hence, what is necessary as a prelude to anything else that may come is a very strong grassroots build-up of black consciousness, such that blacks can learn to assert ourselves and stake our rightful claim. Then he goes further in, we blacks. This is the first truth, bitter as it may seem. And guess what, y'all? Truth is usually bitter. I hear nutritionists tell me, said the more sour, the more bitter it is to the taste bud, the more beneficial it is to your body. Let that sink in. This is the first truth, bitter as it may seem, that we have to acknowledge before we can start on any program designed to change the status quo. It becomes more necessary to see the truth as it is if you realize that the only vehicle for change are the very people who have lost their personality. The first step, therefore, is to make the black man and woman come to him and herself, to pump back life into our empty shells, to infuse ourselves with pride and dignity, to remind ourselves of our complicity in the crime of allowing ourselves to be misused and therefore letting evil reign supreme where we are. This is what we mean by an inward-looking process. This is the definition of black consciousness. What's the story we're telling? What's the work necessary to make the story true? Let's go to Nabila. Line 1, greetings.
Greetings, Brother Shamari. When I heard Sister Pat on, she made me call because you started talking about giving out books, and then you started talking about the conditions of the schools. I'm a few years your senior, so you're right. Schools aren't the same as they are now. As you started naming your teachers, I thought about how many African male teachers I used to have. At that time, there were many black men coming out of Cheney, as they used to call it, Cheney State Teachers College and Cheney State and other Dell State and other black colleges. And we benefited from, my generation benefited from the fact that black men were going into education and being successful educators. Then I looked at my phone. I saw Mama Gail asked me to call in, and she sent me the text at 2:23. But like I spoke to you before about, I think this is like a nefarious plan. It was the girl that left word. Stephanie changed your time to Juma for Muslim.
I don't think it was a nefarious plan. I just think.
I think it was. Because, I'm gonna tell you why, Shamari, and this is why. Because I've said this before. Muslims need to hear what you're teaching. We need it. We need it as bad as anybody else. And we are a part of the black community.
Yes.
I'm speaking about the African American Muslims.
Yes.
We need it badly. So it's really luckily the shows are taped, so we can go back and listen later. But on the real, whew, they'll take a lot out of a sister to, or out of the Muslim body to kind of like, I'm not saying it's your fault. I know we've discussed this, and it's not your fault. This was a change they made from 10. You were 10 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock on Friday afternoons, and I said from the jump, that's a disservice to the Muslim community. So it might not have been your intention. I do believe it was somebody's intention. Because the job, even the job world, everybody does, I call it Shaitan's intention.
Okay.
Satan, because they make all kind of plans, like trainings, meetings, all this crap at Friday at 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So that goes on all the time. So this is just an extension of that. But I really did appreciate you all talking. Oh, main thing I called for with Sister Pat, it is 10 librarians. How many schools in the school district of Philadelphia? Over 2,000?
Over 200
there
schools.
There are 10 librarians left.
Wow.
Because I am a trained librarian, and I talk to my mentors, who is still a librarian, has been a librarian in the system for 37 years.
And Mama, you go into many libraries, they're just big empty spaces in the schools right now. They've become meeting rooms. There are no books in them,
There's nothing. They don't even they don't even repurpose them.
We've sat by and watched this happen.
Having that, let's have a science lab, or let's have a such and such lab. There's just nothing, blank space. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna let you finish because I don't want you telling me that I cut you off. So I'm being obedient right now.
Well, I'm lucky Hemi ain't called, right? All right, peace, Mama.
All right, thank you as always, Mama Nabila, and I love Mama Nabila because I also, there are people who call and you only encounter them on the radio, but Mama Nabila is out in the community. I run into her. She's one of the few callers who I also see in real life, in real space, doing real work, and so it's just good to when she weighs in and offers her viewpoint. Let's go to Maurice in North Philly. Greetings.
Hey, Brother Shamari.
Hey, Brother Maurice.
I want to start where you start at. First, before I say anything, I thought I was reading Francis Fanon again, Black Skin, White Mask. You start talking about the black skin and white mask.
Yeah, Steve Biko. By the way, man, one of the most underrated thinkers we've had. Of course, he was killed young. But go back and why I think he's important now is because he was probably the clearest voice we had about not succumbing to the beguilement of white liberalism. because he dealt with that in South Africa, where white people, and his thing is, white people don't know how to be with black people in equal partnership, and they really don't know how to be with black people taking leadership from black people around issues impacting black people. They don't know how to do it. It's not a part of their cultural genetic makeup. And so we have to be intentional about creating black purpose spaces and work, and we have to own our work and our definitions. And I love what he brought forth as a result of that.
Absolutely. And one of the things I wanted to say, when you talk about neighborhood, I'm going to go a step further. I want to say community.
Mm.
And growing up in the black community, when we grew up, or when I grew up, we had different economic backgrounds, we had different religion backgrounds, but we had unity. And we did a lot together, and we social, and we fellowship together different ways. Even going into high school, when I came back to Philadelphia, I came looking for what I left, and it wasn't there. And one thing I don't practice about my high school, because my high school were racist.
Mm-hmm.
But the unity we had in there among the school children, and the few black teachers was there that was strong, and we was taught. So when I came back to Philly in 2011, I put a group together. We went to the middle, elementary, and high schools to see can we put our program in there. We went to every school, and it was so bad, we reported back to Councilwoman Blackwell. We scheduled a meeting with the school district.
Yep.
We didn't have everybody there that we should have had there, but we met with some people, and we see that they didn't have a vested interest in the community. So what we took from that, even talking to the black teachers, they was using a robotic and mechanical mentality in the 19th century that's not going to help us move into the 21st century. And like you said, we have to sit down and restructure our program for us, because we can ask nobody that don't see us but 3/5 of human beings to take leadership from us.
We keep saying we can't do it, but we've been doing it. We've been asking a society that's structured on our dehumanization and seeing us as less than 5/5 to also structure the very way we come to know, come to be, socialize. They structure everything about us.
Right.
So I just want to push back. You said we can't do it, but I want us to hear that that's the reason we're in the bind that we're in, is because that's what we've done during our 400 years here. We keep turning ourselves back to the very plantation managers who see us as nothing more than chattel.
Right. And what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about that? He said we are moving in a vicious cycle, economic, intellectual, social, and we are living in inferiority. And that's why we have a inferiority education. We have a inferiority.
So what's the transformative story, Brother Maurice, real quick? If we telling our story, what we writing?
We had to create our own. First, we had to get out this debt. They have us in a debt. So we had to create our own structure and put our own program, our own education system in there. And we had to build a community. So the community, when you look at the schools today, the schools and the community have no relationship.
That's right. You're right.
They just empty buildings. The neighborhood don't have no relationship. You can find neighborhoods all over.
Yep.
But if you go back to the community we had, the community was a liaison to the church and to the school.
Yep.
That's no longer there.
They took the neighbor out the hood, and that's why we say now we live in hoods. And I'm saying we got to transform from the niggerhood back to the neighborhood, back to the nation, black
Put the
nation.
unity back in the community.
There you go, brother. I appreciate it. Let's go to, I hope I'm saying this right, CP, Southwest Philly. Greetings.
My God, man. Hey, Brother Maury, how are you? Excuse me, Brother Shamari.
How you doing?
How you doing?
So did I say your name right?
Yes, you did. And I also want you to know that my daughter, who is now a graduate student at Johns Hopkins, is on the line. That was not by design. It just happened. We were talking and listening on the radio, and I could not drive. I had to pull over so I can call.
Okay.
First of all, I want to give a shout-out to my parents who are now deceased. My mom.
Time for a minute. CP, am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Because it sounds like you winding up to drop some gems. So what I want to do is I want to do our commercial break and then come back and get right to you, because I don't want to have to cut you off in the middle of your flow. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So we're coming up on the commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. And if you want to add to it, hit me up at 215-634-8065, toll free. 866-361-0900. Time will tell, is going to tell a story. What is the story? that we want to author, and what is the work we have to put into the story to make it come true? That is the question. Looking forward to your answers after these messages.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Halana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I am a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Philadelphia families, PHL Pre-K, the city's free pre-K program, is now enrolling. Over 130 pre-K centers are getting ready to serve children this year with appropriate health and safety precautions. There are no income limits for this free pre-K program. Children who are 3 or 4 years old as of September 1 can enroll. Call 844-PHL Pre-K or visit phlprek.org to learn more and find a quality pre-K center. That's 844-PHL Pre-K. This program is made possible by the Philadelphia Beverage Tax.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time Shiro to all of us. You nurture, we listen. You teach, we thrive. You lift our spirits, but we've got to lay down the truth. It's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. Start saving more for retirement now, so you can feel prepared and live your life to the fullest. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
A message brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
COVID-19, rising infections, red alert levels, and worries about reopening. What can you do? The Germ Killer's two-step products and services disinfect and protect for up to 90 days to give you peace of mind. The Germ Killer's system kills viruses and bacteria on high-touch surfaces in schools, houses of worship, businesses, and public transportation. Decontaminate immediately and keep students, school staff, congregations, or customers safe for months. Go to thegermkillers.com and get the coverage and safety you deserve.
Word Radio would like to thank everyone who helped us celebrate our founder, Walter P. Lomax Jr., MD. Special thank you to all of our panelists, listeners, and contributors. Thanks also to our sponsors, Pico, Comcast NBC Universal, Brown's Family ShopRite, Dietz & Watson, Amoroso's, Hers, and Canada Dry. Special thanks to the Night Lenfest News Transformation Fund, the Borealis Foundation, and Solutions Journalism Network for their support of Word's Livelihood Initiative. From the entire Word family, thank you for making Founders Day 2020 a success. Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Groundings with Brother Shamari. Right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings and Elevations with Brother Shamari, reading again from Baba Bantu Steve Biko. I write what I like before we return to CP. He says, and I quote, "Does this mean that I am against integration? Yes, if by integration you understand a breakthrough into white society by blacks, an assimilation and acceptance of blacks into an already established set of norms and code of behavior set up by and maintained by whites, then yes, I am against it. I am against the superior, inferior, white-black stratification that makes the white a perpetual teacher and the black a perpetual pupil, and a poor one at that. No more 0%. I am against the intellectual arrogance of white people that makes them believe that white leadership is sine qua non in this country and that whites are the divinely appointed pace setters of our progress. I'm against the fact that a settler minority should impose an entire system of values on an indigenous black people. That's clear. That's Steve Biko. That's why we don't take knees, because knees are an act of acquiescence to the way things are. You can't transform the world by taking a knee. We're not asking or begging to be accepted, assimilated, or integrated. We got the wrong fight going on, and that's why our ancestors, that's why our spiritual forces, the Loa, the Orisha, the Netta, the Abasun, that's why they don't know. They're shackled in their ability to help us, because no powerful force knows how to help a people take a knee. They say, y'all on your own with that one. There ain't nothing I could do for you with that. Call us when you're ready to fight and win your sovereignty. Time will tell. What's the story? Let's go back to CP. Greetings.
Greetings, Brother Shamari. As I was stating, I want to give a shout-out to my parents who are deceased, who were avid readers and advocates for me and my brothers to go to school. I didn't hear nothing different in my home. So I just want to give that shout-out. So, and I want to also say before the time gets short, I want to be part of the solution. I'm close to retirement. I live in Philadelphia. I'm not a product of the Philadelphia school district. I grew up in New Jersey, North New Jersey, Orange, Newark area.
Okay.
But I finished my schooling in North Carolina. I am a proud Aggie.
Okay. All right.
And I have a daughter who was part of the school district. I had 3 children to go through this school district. And what I think is the first solution to all parents is accept the truth. When I tested my children, if they wasn't meeting the standards, or I questioned when they got those reports, they proficient, I made sure they was proficient. And my daughter can vouch for this. I went to those schools with a book where the teachers had to go and also get their instruction books for the classes, and made my children learn where they were weak at. So I'm just saying the school system, education is a 3-legged stool, and I still believe that today.
I think these teachers need to take proficiency tests. I think that one of the challenges we actually have is that the teachers don't know what the hell they're teaching. They're not proficient in their own subjects.
Right. That's why I said it's a 3-legged stool. It's me, the parent, whether it's single parent, husband and wife, grandma, whoever, the student. And when I say the student, my children, you have a part to play. And then the teacher. I did not accept nothing from the school district, even when it came to suspension. My kids got to go home. Where's the packet?
That's right.
And then they were fighting, and I was like, well, they're going to have to stay in school. I pay taxes. They can't be home, because if they didn't initiate the fight, it was some kind of rule that they automatically had to be suspended because they were part. And I wasn't having it. I'm not from here. What? Seriously? No. So my kids was always in-house suspension. And my daughter just said, that's why we was always, that's right. Because if you going to send them home, I went to the principal and I told him, if they go home, every subject, every teacher better be giving them something. If not, I went to the school board. I fought. So what I'm saying, why I want to be part of the solution, and I didn't get all the information.
No more 0%. If you go to no more, just send us an email, and we're gonna get back to people. I'm terrible at it, but
0%.
Yeah. So no more the number 0.
If height is not doing it, then height has to go. When I came here, Constance Clayton was, and when I came here...
Oh, you've been around for a minute then.
Yeah, when I came here, Philadelphia was number 5 in the United States as far as school districts.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time, because I know we ain't nowhere close to that now, so say that one more time.
They were number 5. That was one of the reasons why I moved here. And that's why I cannot speak without giving my mother and my dad. What I had was put in me, and what I had in me, I put in my children. Now, what my children speak of, they're going to give. But that doesn't matter. It's enough of us here to help. We must save ourselves.
There you go. So 30 seconds. One more inspiring line from you, Miss CP.
Oh, I would let my daughter say something.
All right.
Go ahead, Sharice.
Hi, everyone. Sharice here, and I want to Academy at Colombo, and I went to some other schools. So I started off, and I went to John Elementary, some school around here in Southwest Philadelphia.
Okay.
And from there, I went to Maya, Middle Years Alternative.
Right.
So when I went to Maya, there's a huge gap in terms of, like, the teachers and what they were teaching for math. We were learning third grade math, and I was in the 5th grade.
Wow.
So then I was a part of this amazing program called Stepping Stone. And I got into a
my son
private
was in
school.
Stepping Stone.
I was in a private school for 3 years. They thought that I was, I don't want to say stupid, but they thought I didn't know anything about math, and then they actually had to move me up. So it's not that I was not knowing. It's more that I didn't have any teacher to pour into me.
Right.
So when I came back to public schools, I went to Academy at Colombo, and the same type of situation happened to the point where when I went to college, I had to backfill a lot of things that I just didn't know and I didn't learn. And I feel like that affected me in terms of scholarships because my SAT scores weren't high enough because I didn't get that. I didn't get that information I needed to pass that test to get an 1100.
You didn't have the foundation.
To get the scholarship. Exactly.
You had no chance.
I had a chance because, like my mom just said, she poured into us, and she didn't raise no dummies. If I didn't,
All right.
I was gonna get it. But I'm a hustler. I'm a different breed. So I got a combination of my parents. My mom is education, and my dad is hustler. Get it? So you put that together, you got me.
All right.
So, and I came back to my community, and I can tell a lot has changed in terms of, like, speaking to my friends and just seeing what's happening with the neighborhood. And I don't feel like, I would be sad to say, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like this is somewhere I would want to move back and have my kids be in these school systems.
So let me ask you real quick before I let you go. What's your age range? Are you still in your 20s, 30s?
I am definitely in my 20s. I'm 27.
Okay.
I'm in grad school right now at Ontario. Like my mom mentioned, I'm getting a master's.
Oh, wow, you're 20. You're the same age as my son, so y'all had to be in Stepping Stone around the same time then.
We could discuss that offline.
Well,
I probably do know your son.
Yeah, it was great hearing from you, and again, thank you for the story. But it's the reality, and we got to understand. We projecting back and thinking about a school system of when we were in it. That's not this school system. This is a whole different animal, and this animal is working viciously to make sure that our children, black children, are unprepared to compete or create a powerful black future. That's just the reality of it, and it's up to us to do something about that. I thank you for your call. Let's go to Don in West Philly. Greetings.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
I have to piggyback on what your last caller said. It's a three-legged animal. We've been pushing too much of the responsibility on the school system, but we got to just tell the truth. The parents got to step up, man. We asking everybody else to step up. And the individual got to step. We got to start preaching the message that the individual, you have a responsibility to determine your own future. And the parents, all you got to do is make sure they do their classwork and their homework. You can turn this around just doing those two things. Mm-hmm. And one thing, by me being educated at Temple University also, they every now and again they tell you the truth. I minored in sociology and some sort of psychology. Mm-hmm. Every now and again, they'll have their classes that tell the truth. They were all the cultures when they came over here in the 19th century, they had gang problems.
Right. Okay.
They put all these programs together to solve the gang problems in the Italians, the Irish,
correct,
and the Jewish gangs.
All right.
And then when they solved that in the 50s and 60s, they dropped all those programs. And they left black folks.
Right. Fend for yourself.
We still thinking, not having access, not realizing that that's not normal. And we held on to it because we didn't have outside information. They were like gangs and killing one another, in the 60s. A couple guys called up a radio program the other week and being proud for the Moroccos. Big deal. All you were doing is killing, beating up other black folks. But we lacked the knowledge to realize, once again, the white man played that game on us. And we made the best of it, not knowing.
So again, one of the things I want us to do, I hear you. What's the story it's time to write a story. And we love going in reverse, and we revel in what used to be and what should have been and what wasn't and what history said. And I think that's important. I'm not dismissing it. But in the spirit of Sankofa, it's incomplete if we're also not projecting forward and writing and authoring our future. And the question I want people to really try to answer, at least, Tom's going to tell a story. What's the story it's going to tell? Because that's the story that we now live from moving forward. And we don't have one as black people. We don't have a collective vision or story or agenda, whatever word you want to put there, that then sparks our imagination. What's the story?
The story is, just with this radio station, until you get control of your media, that control the messaging that your people receive. Because what the man said, if I can control the messaging, I can control your belief system.
There you go.
And your belief systems dictate your behavior.
I agree with you, and that's why I'm trying to change. That's why I'm trying to change even the way and the what of what we talk about. We revel in these things that has nothing to do about messaging towards our future. And you can't galvanize a people without a message of who you're trying to become. And that is one of the things, man. In my 3 hours on this show, I'm always going to try to push towards that way. And in that spirit, that's why we do a segment every fourth Friday of the month called Dynamics of the African Diaspora with my brother Obi Egbuna Jr. Greetings, good afternoon, my brother. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Trying to get my folks to answer this question, man. Time will tell. And I'm vibing off the Bob Marley song, Time Will Tell. And the question is, time is going to tell what story? What's the story we're fighting for time to tell? And what's the work we're putting in to make sure that that story comes true?
Okay. Well, I wanted to begin, man, by thanking you for tuning in to the performance that we had last month.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for that. As soon as I saw you in the chat room, I said, wow. So just to give people the feedback about that, because that's the last time they heard from us.
Yes.
That historic virtual artistic tribute to Cuba, this was the final roundup, my brother. We had artistic representation from 8 African nations, 5 Caribbean nations, 3 UK nations, 14 cities in the United States and Canada.
Wow, congratulations.
Multi-genre, cross-generational, artists all focused on bringing attention to what Cuba has done historically, but more importantly, what they're doing right now, being the face of the movement to eradicate this genocidal corona pandemic.
Right.
And the follow-up is going to be on the closest weekend of January 1st. We're going to do a second part, but this time we won't just be celebrating Cuba. We'll be celebrating Haiti as well.
Okay.
So this gives artists in Philadelphia heads up. And I want to thank you. I want to thank Elliot Booker. I want to thank Empress Chi. I want to thank Omawali Africa. I want to thank all of the different people in Philadelphia who were helpful in promoting that historic effort. So part 2 will be coming up, and we will start the planning in October. So people will have more than enough time, 4 months ahead of time. Last weekend, we launched a digital newsletter called The Merger.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so
we're getting your writing game on.
Oh yeah, that's always, and we're going to be showcasing children's writing. We have a segment at the end of the newsletter, and that segment is called the shonen. The shonen name that we decided to use was let me get that for people. Make sure I pronounce it correctly, because I speak some shonen. I'm not fluent as we speak, but that's coming sooner than later.
I hear that.
And I just wanted the to just go. It's Manzui Ivana, and Manzui Ivana means children's voices.
Wow, I like
so
that.
So every month that comes out, you're going to have some essays from some of our students, and we showcased a fantastic 12-year-old named Kwasi Davis writing. He wrote about why
the Day of the African Child and Juneteenth should be celebrated together.
Okay.
Why he feels that we shouldn't talk about settler colonialism separately from neocolonialism.
That's wrong. Yep.
Yeah, so that's a 12-year-old doing that. So just trying to just continue doing the work we do all the time. And I heard you talking about the knee before we came on. And
I'm not a knee guy, man. I mean, you know, other people see it as an act of power or whatever they see it as. I've always thought that it was a big bamboozle, to use
I was
Malcolm's
listening
word.
to you, and I look at it this way. In this country, I'm going to go back to something as this weekend we're commemorating the March on Washington.
Mm-hmm.
A few months before the March on Washington, Dr. King wrote the letter from the Birmingham jail. And for all your listeners who have never studied and read that, I would urge and plead with them that they do so. And I would urge them to look at two particular statements. One, he said the more invested he became in struggle, he realized that it wasn't the White Citizens Council or the Ku Klux Klan that was the number one enemy of our people. He said it was the white moderate because of their paternalistic disposition.
Okay.
But he also said that when comparing our struggle against dehumanization inside United States borders to the anti-colonial movement in Africa, he said they were moving at the pace of a jet at the time, and we were moving like a horse attached to the buggy.
Right.
And I think it's because for us in this country, when we start focusing on what we're fighting for, we recognize that justice is our ceiling, where in other places we're fighting for power.
Right.
And justice is an appetizer. And we know that some of us, when we go to seek nourishment, we deliberately go to places because we enjoy the appetizers. But if you're really hungry, an appetizer can never be a substitute for an entree.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, our people are at this historical moment, I won't put it on any particular generation, I'm going to say the moment, people emphatically are focusing on what they're against, but not what they're for.
Correct. Yeah.
And so but for people who've been fighting for a long time, consistently fighting, that know what they're fighting for, they're just going to have to work a little bit harder to provide an alternative to the pitfalls and the confusion.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say, in this context, we know what we're for, but we know that the ceiling, like you said, is justice. And that the way we even conceive of justice in this place requires, we see acceptance as justice.
Yeah.
We equate justice with...
To be exploited comfortably.
Exactly. We equate justice in this society to participate equally with the sham of democracy and the egregious harm that capitalism does on an equal footing with our quote-unquote white brothers and sisters. That is what justice is for us. And I don't think that that's a very righteous goal, which is what the problem is. You can't summon righteous support to help you with an unrighteous goal. The goal is unrighteous.
And that's the thing about it when we take a look at the issues that we're focusing on. And right now, just if we're going to deal with the police question, it comes down to one thing. If we're going to focus on reparations, if we're going to focus on the police, if we're going to focus on education, we have to be the beneficiaries of our own resistance.
Mm-hmm.
When the smoke clears, if Biden benefits more from it than we do, if the corporate world benefits from it more than we do, if the Western popular cultural apparatus benefits from it more than we do, if Homeland Security, formerly called the Military Industrial Intelligence Police Complex, benefits from it more than we do.
If Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates
around the corner from my apartment, I was going to the store the other day, and Prince George's Police Department had this digital sign, now hiring. The Baltimore Police Department, as soon as you drive into Baltimore, where you and I broke bread about about a year and a half ago,
right,
they have a sign up saying now hiring. So they're using this opportunity to recruit, because if you think about it, based on the culture, based on the trends, based on the changes, they're going to have a very difficult time recruiting.
Correct.
So, but with those of us following the local Democratic mandate, talking about police review boards, the things we've talked about forever, they're going to use this as an opportunity to recruit from our community. But they are people in our community who are fighting for that.
Right.
And this is why.
And that's what sustains neo-colonialism. But what I want to do, my brother, we come up on a commercial break. I need to take this break, and then we'll come back and we'll continue our conversation. And if you want to join in the dialogue, because we got about 2 more segments to go, so we're going to vibe with Brother Obi, but we're also going to work our callers into the conversation. So hit us up at 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. We'll talk with you after these messages.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home in the happy hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
JD's Auto Body and Painting is hiring talent for the following positions: assembler, preferably 2 to 3 years experience, able to tear down and reassemble all make and model cars. Painter, must have at least 5 years overall painting experience, including experience in water-based paint and able to prep cars for paint jobs. Auto Body Technician, looking for an A or B technician, must have at least 5 years experience repairing cars. Please send your resume to JD's Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net. That's JDS Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net, or call 215-848-5949 for more details. JD's Auto Body and Painting is an equal opportunity employer.
This is Word Radio, independent black media. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and WordRadio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings with Brother Shamari. And right now we're vibing with my brother Obi Egbuna Jr. He joins us every 4th Friday of the month on a segment we call Dynamics of the African Diaspora. But I also want to try to work some callers into the conversation to continue the dialogue we were having. So hopefully you won't mind, Brother Obi. Let's come back to you, though. I want you to finish, vibing on the point you were making before we went to commercial break.
Just going back to the when we say what are we fighting for, because for example, in the streets of D.C., when we greet each other sometimes, and people will come up and say, "How are you? How you doing?" and you say, "I'm struggling," and they're like, "Why struggle?" But they're thinking about the struggle to survive.
Right.
So you have to qualify. No, I'm talking about our struggle for liberation.
Right.
We are not yet liberated, and when we become liberated, it will be more difficult to struggle to remain liberated than it was to win your initial liberation. So struggle is a constant thing. Struggle is, and that's why that is the most positive, most wholesome, most empowering, and most uplifting aspect of our culture of resistance. That's why we're pushing to make the culture of resistance the cornerstone of our narrative, making a departure from the current culture of victimization, which is what I think you're speaking about when you're talking about taking a knee and having a posture that reeks of capitulation.
Right. And before I work some callers, and 100% on that, my brother, before I work some callers into the convo, real quickly, you talked about the upcoming event you're doing focusing on Cuba and Haiti. Talk a little bit about the focus on Haiti. What particularly are you all elevating in that conversation or in that interaction regarding Haiti?
Well, number one, as you had a beautiful young lady talking about her educational experience, we don't want our children anymore. As a teacher, this is my 30th year of teaching coming up. We're not going to allow anyone to begin a conversation without captivity, without beginning it in Haiti. But at the same time, we're not just going to talk about the Haitian Revolution and not talk about everything that has happened since then. And we're going to bring it up to the current moment so we can talk about what we can do to enhance the struggle in Haiti, which means, once again, not enhancing Clinton's interpretation of what's best for Haiti, not enhancing Obama or the Bush's interpretation of what's in the best interest of Haiti, but dealing with the people. Because, and a lot of times when we talk about Haiti, of course, we go back to the revolution, but sometimes we're stagnant with the narrative, and it deprives us of having the opportunity to engage with our comrades on the ground there right now who are fighting for some very genuine and noble things.
Right.
And we need to take a look at how we can support those efforts. So this is going to give us the opportunity to deal directly with them, because now when people have been dealing with Haiti, they've been going through the United States Agency for International Development. They've been going through the Democratic Party. They've been going through non-governmental organizations, and they haven't been really reaching the organizations whose efforts represent the closest thing to the sentiments and values that were the cornerstone of the revolution that emerged in 1804. The people are still there walking that same path. They're just not visible, but they're definitely determined. And we're in a position, they organized the African Liberation Day there last year for the very first time. And as a matter of fact, if it wasn't for the corona pandemic, we had written a play called Dem Parsley about the Parsley Massacre in the Dominican Republic in 1934, where the United States-backed military dictatorship of Rafael Trujillo slaughtered Africans born in Haiti who had migrated to the Dominican Republic by making them say the word parsley. And if they had a French accent when they pronounced the word, they were instantly executed on the spot. So we had some young people down there who were going to perform that play in Creole.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some plugs down there through some people in Atlanta we work with, and we're just looking to build on that relationship. So so that's our focus on Haiti. And you already know what our focus is on Cuba, because we talk about it every time we come on.
So let me, again, I want to jump to the phone lines, work some voices into the conversation. They might focus on anything we're talking about currently or jump back to the dialogue previously.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, I need to go to Brother Wassett first, line 3, to talk about the upcoming Spirit of the Drum we got going on this Sunday. Brother Wassett, greetings. Brother Wassett, line 3, going once. Brother Wassett, line 3, going twice. Brother Wassett. All right, so Brother Wassett, unless you call back, I'm letting people know we're at 12th and Susquehanna, 1 o'clock, Spirit of the Drum on Sunday. I don't know the exact address, but if you get to 12th and Susquehanna, we'll be out there drumming. Come at 1 o'clock. Come ready, rain or shine. We doing this, even if we got to just stand outside and clap or stomp if it's raining. I don't think it's going to rain, but we will be there, 12th and Susquehanna, on Sunday at 1 o'clock, the continuation of the Spirit of the Drum. Bring your spirit, bring your drum, bring your people, bring yourself. Let's make it happen. Brother Wassett, if you call back, I'll make sure I get to you. But let's go to Arthur in Pensauken, line 2. Greetings.
Hey, what's going on, Brother Shamar?
Hey, Arthur in Pensauken, how are you?
All right, I'm calling. I'm a New Jersey teacher, first of all. Let me preface it by saying that. And I want to say that when we talk about teachers especially, I think sometimes we forget administration.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers can only teach what administration allows them to teach. And I'll give you a prime example. I teach at a school district in New Jersey that's not here, it's about an hour away. But at this school district, for a couple of years, I've been trying to get to teach this class. I'm an arts teacher. And I wanted to teach this class, African American Arts and Entertainment. And so what I did was I submitted whatever information I need to submit to be able to teach it. The principal shot it down before it even got to administration. And finally, the opportunity came where they needed me to add on another class. So I said, what's wrong with this particular class, African American Arts and Entertainment?
Right.
And so I wrote up the summary of the class, you know, and everything, my syllabus and everything, submitted it. And once again, the principal, who was the African-American principal, male,
put the bullets in.
Got it down. So what I had to do was go over his head, go over to the administration building, meet up with the assistant superintendent, sat down and explained the class to him, and he was so floored, he wanted to come take the class himself. So the class did end up going through. In this class, I take the kids from Africa all the way down to hip-hop. And we talk about African-American diaspora. We talk about everything. We go through the history, have a full understanding of what it meant to be African before colonialism. And
so, Brother
then
Arthur, what I want to ask you, because in the telling of the story, time will tell for me, one of the things I'm saying for us is we can't abdicate our authority to determine what our children need to learn and be prepared for. That's our, like, the fact that we have to get permission about what we need to teach our children. I'm saying we got to blow all of that up, and I mean it. I mean it rhetorically, people. I don't want anybody going out there doing anything dumb. But we have all of it is invalid to me at this point, because it has prepared us to be unprepared in the world that is before us. So at this point, as the authorities in our community and in our culture, we need to say, you are no longer the valid reference source or power to determine for us what our children need to learn, because what is very clear is that your job is to make sure that they are not at the top of the pyramid. And I would be a fool to offer my children back to you knowing that your job is to denigrate my children. We got to get to that level of audacity, authority, and assertion about our future. You with us on that rumble, Mr. Arthur?
Yeah.
All right, just checking with you, my brother. I thank you for calling. Brother Obi, your thoughts real quick.
On what he was saying, I'd like to get his contact information too. But he's correct. But this is the next phase for us, because one of the compromises, concessions that was made in the 1980s in public schools, HBCUs, PBIs, predominantly black institutions like Chicago State.
Right.
In the 1980s, we erupted and said, you will not begin our history in Jamestown in shame. And the compromise was, okay, we're going to take, you can go back as far as you like. And right around that time, and they were building on the momentum of the 1970s, where, for those of you who remember Ebony magazine and have those beautiful illustrations of the great kings and queens of Africa all over your walls in some type of scrapbook, which was financed by Anheuser-Busch, by the way. The person who did the historical write-ups was none other than Dr. John Henry Clark, the people who didn't know that. So so what ended up happening was, the concession that was made was, when you mention Africa, you talk about antiquity. Go back 1,000,000 years ago, but don't talk about what happened last night. Don't talk about what happened last month. Don't talk about what's going to happen 2 months from now. And that propagates the notion that Africa is part of our glorious past, not our present, and not our future.
There you go.
And the way that we've been able to counter that, and we did this purposely in public schools in Marion, Alabama, Selma, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, and Montgomery, Alabama. Before we even get into the African continent, we strategically target the U.S.-born Africans that we know our children have some exposure to. So we show them why Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. felt compelled to go to Ghana, why Ella Baker felt compelled to condemn Italy's invasion of Ethiopia, why Thurgood Marshall wrote Kenya's constitution, why Maya Angelou was in Ghana, and what was she doing there.
There you go. And again, that's why I always talk about the spirit of Sankofa. We love going backwards, but it's incomplete if we're not figuring out how we use that as fertilizer, as soil, as the foundation for our forward movement. Let's go to Keith and Wyncote. Line 4, greetings.
Hey, how you doing, sir? Great show. I want to give a shout-out to my brother, my boy who was just speaking. I did work with him in Camden. Brother Art was at Creative Arts.
Oh, cool.
And
All
he
right.
was a great teacher.
Great.
And the students still love him.
Do me a favor, brother Keith and Wyncote, real quick, because Brother Obi would love to connect with Brother Arthur. If you could give Brother Arthur, just say, shoot his information to Brother Shamari at wordradio.com or Brother Shamari at gmail.com, because we like to build a little further, and I can shoot that information to Brother Obi.
Okay, I certainly will, sir.
Thank you.
So I was calling because I want to get that website that you had gave to the sister before about connecting with former teachers to help be a part of the solution and not the problem in Philadelphia.
Yes, sir. So the website is No More 0%. And it's a website in development, so it's not much there yet. We still working that part out. But it's no more the number 0, the word %.org. And then the emails addresses are no more the number 0, the word %@gmail.com. And the other one is not just parents@gmail.com.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that, again, with my brother Art and what the brother was talking about, I've taught for 25 years in the public school systems of Camden and Newark, New Jersey. Right now I'm in Newark, but I will be retiring December 1st. And I had great principals, which allowed me to be a mentor to many black and brown children. My curriculum, I was mentored in college by Dr. Yusef Ben Johannan,
Okay.
Dr. John Henry Clark.
Yes, sir.
And so I was allowed to bring a lot of that into the classroom.
Right.
And I'm still in contact with my students from grade school.
Wow.
And a lot of them, and I'm thinking of one, he had a slave name. His name now is Huey X.
Okay.
He learned about Huey Newton and Malcolm X. I had him for 2 years, 5th and 6th grade. And so he credits me with being a role model to him. A lot of my students didn't have fathers, and I was their father.
Right.
But I taught through black history.
Right.
And like the brother was saying, I not only gave them Africa, I related to the things they were dealing with today and what they could have in the future.
Well, Brother Keith, I'm hoping you also give us a shout out, man, because we got to create our own infrastructure to deliver preparation, instruction, and guidance to our future. That's what we have to do as a village, and it's very important that the brothers in the village and the fathers and the babas in the village be on the forefront of this, both the destructive side of what we have to do, because we have to break the system that exists, and on the building side of what we have to do, because we have to create a new infrastructure to deliver the future to our children. So reach out to us, man, because there's no retreating from this work. I appreciate your call. Brother Obi, go ahead. Oh, okay. Brother Obi, any final reflections before we hit up on this commercial break?
Yeah, what I was saying is, for example, prime example, as BET is about to hammer us with their reflections on the March on Washington in 1963, we want people to know that simultaneously as the March on Washington converged in D.C., we marched on the United States Embassy in Ghana. Maya Angelou was part of that march. Alice Wyndham was part of that march. Julian Mayfield was part of that march. Tom Billings was part of that march. And they demanded that there be no intervention on Cuba, no intervention in Vietnam, and they had called for the freedom of May Mallory, who, along with John Henry Clark and Julian Mayfield, ran guns to Robert Williams and our people in Monroe, North Carolina, to defend themselves from the Klan in Monroe, North Carolina. And she ended up going to prison. And so think about it. If we were marked, because people try to compare the African heads of states condemning George Floyd's murder in Minnesota to something like that. But in all actuality, if they were using their platform to call for the removal of the United States Africa Military Command from the African continent, for the removal of the United States Agency for International Development from the African continent, simultaneous with our call to end police terrorism in this country, that would have been more appropriate.
Well, it still can be, man. I think we have to work on that mutual call.
We're building towards that, because in the 1990s, when we went to the streets over Rodney King, we let it be known it was in harmony with the removal of Moussa Traoré from Mali, from Mengistu in Ethiopia, from Samuel Doe in Liberia, from Mobutu in the Congo. It was known that that was our purpose and that was our intent, where now what you see is an aggressive attempt to domesticate our struggle. Exactly. And we know the difference between a domestic animal and a wild animal. We're wild today.
So, Brother Obi, how do people keep in touch with you, your work, your writing? What's the best way for people to stay in the circle who want to kind of build this bridge?
If they wanna deal with us directly, they can do the email thing. No, we don't mind. OBIEGBUNA obiegbuna15@gmail.com. If they want to take a look at
hold on, time out. Spell that one more time.
obiegbuna15@gmail.com. If they're interested in the work we've been doing around Cuba this whole summer, they can look at the hashtags. Hashtag Get Out of Cuba Way, hashtag Unblock Cuba, hashtag Cuban Blockade Inhumane. And we'll make the digital newsletter available very soon. And like I said, I mean, we're just going to keep building and keep working towards the things that we've been doing. So, and just for people to know that the Mass Emphasis Children's History and Theater Company and the Mass Emphasis Positive Action and Creativity Youth Brigade actually emanate from our work in the classroom, because you're always looking for different ways to effectively engage and empower our young people. And I'll close by saying this, especially to our comrades in the classroom. It's a fundamental difference between teaching young people to appreciate our struggle, and it's than teaching them that history obligates them to continue our struggle.
I say on that.
They are not the same thing.
I say on that.
Not the same thing. Because there are a lot of teachers who, for whatever reason, they keep their safe distance away from struggle. As we jokingly say, when it comes to the battlefield, brother, some people have been practicing social distancing way before the corona pandemic came into play. And I want to close by giving a special shout out to the young brother onWURD Africa. He did a fantastic job with the RBG conference.
Yes.
We were honored to be part of it. So shout out to you if you're listening, my young comrade and brother.
Thank you, my brother, as always, for joining us on Dynamics of the African Diaspora, man. And well, I want to get to the point where there's so much going on in the African diaspora with these dynamics that we need to do more than once a month by way of updates. So looking forward to building that work and building on those dynamics. Peace with you.
Cool.
Coming up on the commercial break, when we come back, we'll take our final two callers, and we're going to vibe on out of here. Hopefully get a chance to listen to a little bit of Rasta Man Live Up, honoring the brother's request, Brother Spread Love, that he made earlier. Talk to you after these messages.
You may be eligible for up to $800 to pay your PICO electric or natural gas bill through the LIHEAP Crisis Recovery Program. But you must act fast. The program closes on August 31st. If you need help paying your utility bill due to the COVID-19 public health crisis, visit pico.com/LIHEAP or call the PICO LIHEAP hotline at 1-800-34-HELP-4.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, kind of work people more than 8 hours without overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation? Follow us on social media using the hashtag onWURD. Be heard. Stay connected to Word Radio. Independent Black Media. A global pandemic, dozens of police shootings, nationwide uprisings, National Guard on city streets, and that's just in the past 6 months. It's time to set an agenda, a Black national agenda for the next administration. Tune in to Word Radio and Word TV this Friday, August 28th from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. for a special live broadcast of the 2020 Black National Convention, presented in partnership with New Voices for Reproductive Justice, featuring a series of conversations, performances, activations geared toward engaging, informing, and mobilizing Black communities, and the ratification of a Black national agenda ahead of the November elections, guided by the Vision for Black Lives, anchored by reality check host Charles Ellison. Don't miss it. Be sure to tune in this Friday from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. for the 2020 Black National Convention, exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the Word Radio app, and watch live on Word TV via Facebook or visit wordradio.com and scroll to the bottom of the page. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com.
Get 'em in. That sun is hot and plenty bright. Let's get on to business and get home tonight. Bid 'em in. Auctioning slaves is a real high art. Bring that young gal, Roy. She's good for a start. Bid 'em in, get 'em in. Now here's a real good buy on about 15. Her great-grandmammy was a Dahomey queen. Just look at her face, she sure ain't homely. Like Sheba in the Bible, she's black but comely. Bid 'em in. Gonna start at 3. Can I hear 3? Step up, gents, take a good look, see. Cause I know you'll want her once you've seen her. She's young and right, make a darn good breeder. Bid 'em in. She's good in the field, she can sew and cook. Strip her down, Roy, let the gentleman look. She's full up front and ample behind. Examine her teeth if you got a mind. Bid 'em in, get 'em in. Here's a bid of 3 from a man who's thrifty. 325, can I hear 350? Your money ain't earning you much in the banks. Turn her around, Roy, let 'em look at her flanks. Bid 'em in. 350's bidding, I'm looking for 4. At $400, she's a bargain sure. 4 is the bid, 450. $500 now, look alive. Bid 'em in, get 'em in. Don't mind them tears, that's one of her tricks. 550's bidding, who'll say 6? She's healthy and strong and well equipped. Make a fine lady's maid when she's properly whipped. Bid 'em in. 650, don't be slow. 7 is the bid, gonna let her go. At 7 she's going, gone. Pull her down, Roy, bring the next one on. Bid 'em in, get 'em in, bid 'em in.
Bid 'em in by Oscar Brown Jr. That was by request. It's an example of the stories that have been told. And the question that I want us to begin to grapple with is, what is the story that time will tell? Because time is going to tell a story, y'all. It's just going to. The question is, will we be the authors of the story that time will tell? And what's the work that we have to put in to make sure we manifest, bring forth the story? That's what I want us to grapple with as we continue forward. Let's close it out today with our final 2 callers. Then we're going to close down the groundings and elevations with Rasta Man Live Up. So let's go. Let's hit the phone lines. Line 3, Lloyd. Greetings.
Yeah, what's up, man? This is Lloyd from Hamilton.
How you doing?
All right, peace. Yeah, the conversation, man, is real interesting, man. I really appreciate Word and, your show for everything that you guys do. As far as, like, the education, I'm just going to begin with these words coming out of everyone's mouth that called here. I don't know where I'm from, where my people came from, or anything like that, the history, and that was by design.
Mm-hmm.
So James Baldwin, he said, anyone with this color skin like his, using this English language, is already behind the ball, because that's your oppressor's language. And that's the English language. He said it was the most bastardized language in the world, because it comes from all over. So, when we talk about collusion and colluding and all this other stuff, that's the biggest collusion in the world, is for somebody with a color of skin like mine that does not know who they are or understand where they came from in their language, and you're forced to use a language for communication. And, we see it every day, especially since the electing of this president we have, because they have a thing called anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law or whatever the case may be. Now, as far as that's concerned, I don't know the law. So, my people's is running around here, we saying any and everything, whatever, just to be heard, for the simple fact that we have not ever had a voice. So I can understand why people want to just talk. Why does the cage bird sing, like Maya Angelou said? Because they don't have a platform. Nobody listening to them anyway. But now when you don't know what you're saying, you don't know where your words are coming from, but you are held accountable for them, You living in a society where the law system is
But
bilingual.
help me with this, Brother Lloyd, because we're about to come up on the close of the show. So, but the flip side of what you're saying, and I'm not saying what you're saying, I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm trying to get us to is the flip side, to understand that you got to use what you have in order to create what you need. And so the other side of that is, what is the story? Because the story is also the power. The narrative is the power. The ashe, the affirmation brings, the nomo brings it forward. The declaration activates the imagination, and then the work around the intention. We can't run from that responsibility, particularly as men. So the question is, what is the story that we are going to author that time will tell? When will we step into that responsibility?
Well, for one, we have to realize that we can't keep going on thinking that our entertainment is a reality.
Okay.
Because, see, we have all of that mixed. The people we look up to, I think I heard somebody say that. For one, we have to educate. You got to know anything you get yourself involved in, you need to know all aspects of it. And that's what I'm doing. And, I salute everybody that's going to school, that has knowledge and teaching people and stuff like that. But, you got to get to the root, to the root cause of everything. And it's like, that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm in college, 50 years old for civil engineering. I went to jail. I did all of that, but I'm trying to relearn because I know I have to renew my mind.
Correct.
My mind has to be changed.
And we are in a strange land, but we also have a responsibility to uproot and to create new foundations where we are. We can't run from that responsibility, my brother. So I appreciate you, and I agree with you. And it goes back to the conversation Brother Obi was having. Like, we got to understand that the ceiling in the context of America as currently constructed for us is justice. That's different than the work around building nation and building sovereignty. And we as black people have to begin to figure out where we want to fit in our pursuit, which is why I consider myself a Pan-Africanist. Because I am saying my work is though I'm located here, what is my contribution in building Pan-African sovereignty across the black diaspora? That's a different set of imagination than somebody just hoping that the police don't kill them. Let's go to Cisco. Final words of the day. Line 2, greetings.
All right, Brother Samara, how you doing, sir? How are you today?
How you doing?
I'm great. All right, look, hi. Pertaining to the teachers, I just wanted to, get on and get off. I just feel as though, like, a lot of them are getting a real bad rap. I just try to speak about the teachers and everything, about the teaching of the students and everything in the schools. I mean, because there are so many dedicated teachers who want to teach and will teach and do teach, but my Lord, my God, it's pathetic how some of those students are in the schools. I mean, look.
Well, it's pathetic, though, how the schools are, period. And that's the...
May I? I mean, I'm getting on and getting off. I'm saying, hey, look, my wife retired back in 2010, and like she's a aide and everything at the school. She goes there, she helps the kids out and everything, do this and do that. But the things that goes on in the lunchrooms and how the kids carry on, how they threaten the teachers, how they curse them, abuse them. Yeah. And look, and certain places like I was speaking about Maurice the other week there, like around 59th and Baltimore, up around 59th and Baltimore, and up around 60th and Ellsworth. Look, the teachers have to park their cars in different areas because the kids will come outside and post their windows out.
So let me ask you a question, Mr. Cisco, because you sound like an elder, and you waited to the end of the show to call with this as your contribution, my brother. Like that's the best you got to offer as a grown-ass black man for this conversation.
Hey, come on, man. Look,
I'm asking, no, brother. I want to ask you from a place of your spirit, based on the conversation. You waited to the end of that, and as a black man. Yes, that is your best offering into this moment, a system designed to destroy our children.
Get on the subway in the bus.
I ain't got time, dude. Because they are a product of people like you and your mindset and the structures that have taught them. That's why you have what we have now, and that's why it has to fall. We can't offer our future back to people, white or black, green or yellow, whose mindset says that you're the victim of the institutions and the structures that we have created for you. You send them into schools that are designed like prisons. And then you're mad that they come out acting like prisoners. Y'all get on my nerves, but I won't let you defeat me. Rasta man, live up.
Bongo man, don't give up. Congo man, live up. Bingy man, don't give up. Yeah.